But I tell all the stakeholders, and all of y'all are really stakeholders in this together for this broader mission, is, I think we're at an inflection point where, there's a lot of things we're stressed about. There's self-driving trucks and automation and robots and where are all these jobs going to go and how are people going to navigate this? But there's also opportunities where the same technologies that might cause some of these tensions actually have a potential to actually help us as well. And to give a thought experiment, imagine going back in time 400 years to Western Europe, which even then was one of the more literate parts of the world. You would have seen that about 15% of the population was literate, about 20% of men and 10% of women. And I suspect that if you went to someone who was literate, say a member of the clergy, and you said, what percentage of the population do you think is even capable of reading? They might have said, well, with a great education system, maybe it's 30%, maybe 40%. Well, now we know today that would have been a wildly pessimistic prediction, that it's pretty close to 100% of the population is capable of reading. But if I were to ask any of y'all a similar question in today's terms, what percentage of the population do you think is capable of contributing to cancer research? What percentage of the population do you think is capable of being a physicist? What percentage of the population do you think could start the next Google or write the next great novel? You might say, well, today that's maybe 1%, maybe 5%, maybe 10% if you have a great education system. But what if that's just based on the blinders, the experience that we have from where we're all pushed lockstep, where we're all accumulating gaps, where we see either ourselves or our peers hit walls in algebra or genetics or calculus class? What if we are able to allow every student to essentially get a free personal tutor so that they can fill in their gaps? What if we have a world where every classroom can be liberated so that they can truly differentiate, like has been talked about in ed schools for decades now? In that world, I'm becoming increasingly optimistic that that number of people who could contribute to the knowledge economy isn't just 30 or 40 or 50%. I think it's 60, 70, 80, or even 90+%. And if we do that, I think it'll be really exciting, and this is really a collective effort, because we could take this thing called education that has always been scarce and expensive and not equally accessible to everyone, and make it just a lot more like clean drinking water or basic shelter and a fundamental human right. Thank you.